has begun a 3-day official visit to Hungary, seen as one of the most or more politically sensitive trips of his career. Well, Pope Francis met with Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban and in his first major speech in Budapest, Pope Francis warned of the dangers of nationalism and called for a more welcoming attitude towards refugees. Well, let's take you live now to the scene in Budapest. And what you see on the right-hand side of your screen is what's happening now. The Pope is meeting with bishops, priests, deacons and seminarians at the cathedral in the city of Budapest. And in the screen on your left, you can see him and Viktor Orban, the president of Hungary, meeting together. This is a 3-day pastoral visit and his first full trip to the country since he became Pope 10 years ago. Well, I think we can now cross live now to Budapest and speak to our correspondent there, Nick Thorpe. And Nick, we're seeing pictures of the Pope right now, and earlier we saw him meeting with the Prime Minister Viktor Orban. What kept the Pope away up until now, to a large degree, was those tough anti-migrant policies of the Prime Minister. What's changed to bring him there now?
I think, in a word, the war in Ukraine. Hungary is the nearest Pope Francis has gone geographically to the war in Ukraine. It's only about 300 kilometers from where I'm standing in Budapest now. And so he's come with a message of reconciliation between nations, messages to the Hungarian government here, but also he's very aware that Hungary is pretty close to the center of Europe. So his speeches today, especially this very political speech this morning, was very much addressed to the people and statesmen of Europe, that this war in Ukraine is really intolerable. And as he said this morning, much more needs to be done to try to stop it.
And Nick, we've seen the Pope earlier on meeting the Prime Minister. We see him now, obviously, in a church ceremony and a meeting earlier on with bishops, seminarians and priests and deacons. Tell me a bit more about what we're expecting the Pope to do during this visit.
Yes, well, he's started with the politicians. He's now moved on to really talking to his own church, because after all, Hungary is a majority Catholic country. Tomorrow morning, he'll have a meeting with homeless people, poor people and refugees. Many of those will be from Ukraine, but we understand also from other countries, from sub-Saharan Africa, from Afghanistan, from Iraq and Iran. Then there will be a large Holy Mass in the square in front of Parliament. He'll also meet young people. He'll meet members of the scientific and cultural community here in Budapest. So a very packed schedule for an 86-year-old pontiff.
Yes, Nick, thank you very much indeed for that. And you can see there the continued live pictures coming to us from the cathedral in the capital, Budapest. And we will bring you, of course, updates on the Pope's visit to Hungary here on BBC News.